and not unconditional love. And unconditional love never means, oh, it's great, all the mess. No, it means like, there's a very nice example too that I love. That is,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the Negro. It's, sorry for the word, but that's how it's called. It's a Negro sect somewhere. It's somewhere in the Pacific Ocean on an island. But if somebody is there doing something wrong, right? They, like, for instance, whatever it could be, let me not give an example, then they get him, and the community is standing in a circle around this person, and they tell him, because they know everybody knows each other there, they tell him what they do like in him, and they say, this is great, and we love this, and we appreciate this. That's their way of punishment. And then
Mm-hmm.
you feel so like, wow, these are all the good sides of me.
Yeah.
Why did I go for the bad thing? And
Mm-hmm.
that really, from who I learned that story? From Marshall Rosenberg, the author of the founder of nonviolent communication. He has all kinds of stories like that, and I find that so amazing. You
Oh,
bring out the best in somebody,
yeah.
and you
By
say, well, this we didn't like, but let's not
yeah,
go there too much. Let me look at what we do like. And
yeah,
then it is also, then that person is probably overflowed with so much love and
yeah,
attention, then they get much easier to a feeling of remorse.
yeah.
That is, so that is so. I'm thinking now, why don't we do this in schools? It would be
Yeah.
nice.
I feel like the school, and I feel I noticed a lot of educators, and I mean, even when conscious parents are moving to homeschooling just because of the system. And even some educators are becoming conscious parents, which is the whole thing of nonviolent communication, and then moving their kids out of school. And I'm like, this is not some kind of mistake. They are seeing things. I mean, parents need to take a moment, pause, and look, why are educators leaving and taking their kids out and teaching them at home? Like, there's something going on. And I get that it's just because of this system of rewards, punishments, even grades. For me, I have an issue with, I mean, I feel like for grades it should be like a benchmark to say my son covered what the teacher needed him to cover. It's not a benchmark of how hard he worked. Like, I mean, how hard he worked is, we see how that happened, right? He could have, I know there were times I read out of context, but the grade only showed I did not read at all, right? And I would beat myself down because I've been so like wired to feel like I am, my worth is in my grade. That's, I mean, I would just be like, how do I say, I'll be weak. I wouldn't be able to even do anything. Like, I'm not even able to problem solve. Like, in a case like that, it would be to talk to my son, like, how do you feel about that? What do you think happened? It's for him to tell me, oh, mommy, I don't like this subject. Then I know it's a demotivation to learn. Or he said, mommy, I just can't figure it out. It's that he's struggling with the subject, right? I can get him a tutor. Or it could be that, mommy, I read so hard. I mean, I thought I knew it. I don't know what happened. Is that he read out of syllabus. If
Yeah.
I was so focused on the grade and like, I need you to, how would I have figured out one of these three things? And which is the beautiful thing about nonviolent communication, is that you're trying to seek the reason why, and you're not really looking at the final result, right? So yeah, the grade is there to show that you were able to get what the teacher needed you to get, because after all, the exam isn't the whole, like, it's not the whole thing. So if you get an A, okay, that's great, but like, how do you feel about it? He might even tell me, oh, I got an A, but I still feel there were certain aspects I did not understand. He might even tell me that, right? So, but when we're so focused on the grade, is that we miss the big picture. And I feel like this is why most people are switching to homeschooling, in that the whole idea is that they should keep they should keep loving to learn, right? Curiosity and exploration is in our like DNA. And I feel like even school kind of wrings it out of our system, because it's like, oh, we needed to, I mean, my son is in a Montessori now for that reason. I don't know how long he'll be there for. But it's like, I needed to look at math now because I said you should look at math now.
But
What about
he's
right
only
now?
3, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, but yeah, he's only 3, but the money, sorry. I love the fact that he can go to what he feels, and
Yeah.
he's,
Yeah.
I mean, the last time he was talking about continents, and I was like, what, what? And he was talking about, he's saying the numbers in French, and right now he likes numbers, so he's really excelling in that, and that's okay. I mean, he doesn't really like reading as such or writing, but it's like, I like that going at their pace, and I'm seeing that he's really going so far in counting and even getting to the point where he wants to add and stuff. So, and I think like that's the beauty of letting them lead, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, they're able to use their strength to its capacity. You're not putting them in a box,
Yeah.
right? Because I started Qmon and I took him out
Yeah.
because they were teaching
Wow.
him counting and they were teaching him reading at the same time, right? So reading, he was going at their pace because he was learning. Counting, he was like, I remember I told the lady, like, I'm done with this call. Like, I need to speak to the owner or something, because he was going ahead because they were asking him things that he knew. So before she's done, she's like, two rabbits, three. So he was answering really fast. And then she's just like, oh, you need to come back. You need to listen to me. You need to go at how I'm telling you to go. And I'm just like, if he knows it, like, can't you just go at his pace? Why does he have to come back to your pace?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're,
Yeah.
right? Like, if this is something and I'm like, can we even find something more advanced in counting and stay where you are in reading? No, he has to go exactly how it is. I'm just like, okay, no.
Yeah.
This
I
is
would
not,
love. Yeah.
yeah, this is not going to work for us. And then
Yeah.
they were also trying to do the thing of rewards, and I'm just like, please, I don't think, like, can you take my son out of it? Like, like it's like how you're saying, I don't think he already loves to learn. He already is so excited. Mommy, let's do activities. Let's do activities. Because I follow this page, Shay Nifty Mom, and she does all these activities of math, English, but in with play. And so he loves to do these activities. So he already loves learning. He was born to be curious and explore. Why do I want to drain that out of him and just be like, I want you to listen to what I said and do what I said because I said so? Why take that away from him? You know,
I
he's
so agree with you, because you came to the point here. So interesting. I'm a very big advocate to have kids play as much as you can, because playing is learning, right? And when their brain is fully grown, when they're not fully, but for the age for learning at the age of 6, then the things go very rapidly. So I'm like that, easygoing. If he wants to do it, great. But
yeah.
there is a trick here. There is something in, like a snake in the grass, right? This. Parents love to see that their kid is smart. I mean, everybody likes that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now the kid feels, whoa, if I do this and I can write my name, they're proud of me. So they want to get more of that. So sometimes, or maybe often, the motivation is, let me do this, because then they are proud of me, because you want you. And I have seen, for instance, a girl in our community was 5 years old, and she came from school back home. Every day she needed to work with her dad for an hour instead of playing outdoors. And I think, why that fear? Why can't you trust the development of the child? And you know what? Let's talk about that another time. I have great research in what countries, what different methods they use, and what the result is. And America is number 25 on the list. 25 for the results. Maybe not for the colleges, because the universities is a different arena. But for all over in school, 25 on the list. And it is so interesting what is different in other schools. And oh yeah, now I'm Dutch and I want to brag about my own country, but I think it was number 1 or number 2. That kids are happy and learn with, and there's not so much pressure. And they are very successful too. And if we say, okay, we don't want them to be dependent on approval, that can work in an intimate relationship too. Oh, because you get insecure if your partner has another thing and you take that personally. No, it's the way you are raised. And if you're dependent on approval, it's very hard to be you, because then you have to go against mainstream, or maybe against the mainstream in your family. And that can already be a problem. Yeah. So it is so much, it boils it down again to respect. I'm writing already for 6 years a book about respect, and I don't finish it yet. It's like, it boils it down to that, It is, again, respect your child the way he or she is, and what do they need for them specifically to grow. And I got 3 very different kids. They're all very different. So you don't never get the child you think you get. You get always something else. It's like the nice surprise or the child, whatever.
But I think one point that you made, where you said, like, where the child is trying to do that thing that they feel like the parent feels like they're proud about. And I feel like that was one thing I started easing off on, saying good job. I realized that sometimes you can be silent. Like, you do not even have to give an encouragement or compliment. Like, they're loving what they're doing. You don't have to say anything.
You don't, exactly. And what you can do, which is an alternative, because you want to be if you think I want to be positive, I want to be reinforcing positively, that the great way is the celebration, not my opinion about your drawing. My opinion is that doesn't matter. What
Yeah,
matters the joy of you doing it.
that's right.
So the goody goodies are totally like that. And it is the sensitive kids that want to be loved and liked. So they do their best to fit in and to get that in their way. And
Mm-hmm.
you can never become an independent, powerful person following your own path, because then those chains keep you back and hold you back, you know?
Yeah,
To make a choice against mainstream in your family can already be hard, because your parents, how many parents in the past wanted their kids to be in this way, to have this profession? I'm a doctor, you should be one too, or maybe a lawyer. Then it's like, why? Maybe
yeah.
they're very happy in a totally different way. Let
That,
them choose themselves, you
yeah, there's
know?
so many professions. And I mean, it was a thing that was a huge, I don't know if it's still a thing now in Nigeria, where it was like, and I think in India too, I think I've had my Indian friends say it, where there are just three professions: medicine, doctor, engineer. No kidding, because I mean, I'm a dentist, my husband is an
Same
engineer.
thing, yeah.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what it was.
Well,
And I
not
feel
only
like,
there, in many
yeah.
more cultures.
And I feel like that is just like survival thinking. And even
Yeah,
as someone who believes in God, I feel like my child was brought on this earth for a purpose, and I cannot choose that I want it to be doctor, lawyer, engineer. I can't. I,
yeah,
I do not
yeah,
have that right to do that. I can just guide him, make his strength, those areas that are strong for him, stronger, like, improve his weaknesses as well, just so that it doesn't play out in whatever his purpose is supposed to be, right? Encouraging him to be trying things, never giving up and trying and trying and trying again. But I don't think it's my place to tell him what it was. I might have an idea based on knowing him well, and I might tell him, "Oh, do you want to try this?" But it wasn't not like that fixed thing. I mean, it wasn't so bad for us. I think even in my family, because I remember I mean, I know my mom had a lot of expectations for me. It's a little bit different, because I know for me it was just like, no, Angie, I know you can do this. And for my brother, it's like, tell me anything you want to do. So she had a different expectation from me. But I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, is to let the child go. They're already wired to want something. So just keep just watching and making them the best version of themselves in whatever they're going on. And there was even one other thing that you talked about. I think I've derailed, but sorry, there was just a question. I don't ask my children what they want to be in future. Yeah, I should not expect them to know. Someone says she raised her kids to see chores as a privilege. And I kind of I feel like in my head, I just see chores as, I mean, we just share things in the house, right? We would all go to Disneyland. At home, when we come home, mommy is cooking, you're helping me with the laundry. I feel like even when you start attaching things to chores, it now feels like it's that's the problem with rewards. It's like, is there something about this why you have to pay me to do it, right? But when it just becomes like something like, oh, we just have to all do this together. Like I would, you make your bed, I make my bed, or you help empty the
yeah,
dishes, I wash the
yeah,
plate. Teamwork, that
yeah,
kind of mentality, like teamwork mentality. And that's kind of the motivation. And I mean, that's even a skill I'm helping my child build. And not necessarily now make chores a thing of fighting. Why didn't you wash the dishes now? You see what you do, or something like that. If you forgot to wash the dishes, don't worry. How can we make it that you can remember? Should we put a timer or something? Because it's not the end of the world. This is like,
yeah.
we're trying to figure out how to work as an effective
Yeah,
team.
and there
Right?
there is also something when kids are young, when they're 2 or 3, they love to help you. And if you say no, don't do it because you make a mess. And then parents ask me when they're 8 years old, I asked them to make the table and they want to get paid for it. Well, then you did something in the past
Just
wrong,
started.
to use the word wrong, because you share. I never pushed my kids away from, yeah, and sometimes it was, you made more mess than clean. It doesn't matter. Their intention matters. And
Yeah.
to do that, and now we go back to the ADHD, because where you were talking, I got a thing in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I of course, yeah, the church, and I did never reward them for that. It's like, okay, everybody does something. It's a community.
Yeah.
Family is, you take care of each other, not only me for
Mm-hmm.
all of you, and that's it. Bye bye.
Mm-hmm.
So then my son, the one, right, that we
Mm-hmm.
talk so much about, he was maybe 13, 14. He found emptying the dishwasher such a waste of his time. And he felt the need to talk about that, you know. He had also a dog to take care of. He had his own dog, like for the taking care of a dog. It's very good for the compassion and all that. So Dishwasher found it, and then the discussion every day, you know, because they're good in continuing the same discussions all the time. Sorry, like, okay, another one. He found the fastest way for emptying the dishwasher. He took the whole basket with all the silverware, turned it around in the box where all the knives and the forks are, like, turned it up, boom,
Yes.
and put it back. And it was like, you know, of course, it was a mess, creating the chaos inwardly, right? But they see. So I was like, when you were 3 years old or 4 years old, when you would do this, you put the knives there, you put the forks there, you put the spoon, and you found it a great job, and you did it so well. Now you're 13 or 14, who knows? I don't know. And you do it like this, and I cannot find anything now. And of course, I'm not always patient. Of course, I got sometimes annoyed too, because he knew at that age then well that I wasn't correct, but he chose for himself. He was like, this is how I like it. I want to get away with it. And I was like, no, you know what? This you don't know. Go to fix it now. And there was also, yeah, we have spoken about that. But that is this thing of the chaos in their heads. And what I would like to add about what we spoke about, because there's so many more tips I could give, I realized, for ADHD. But when he was like doing the drawings, I let them also do a free drawing, right? I let them meditate, like for a few seconds, at some nice music. They had a crystal in front of them. It was like great energy. The 6 kids that I told you before, that I did the art classes at home for. Remember that? Then I was doing that too with the mandalas, and or we had frog drill, the new eggs. They were drawing that, whatever. There was always something. So I let them meditate for 5 minutes, and you close your eyes and do some music. What is the shape you see in your head? Now, 6 children, 5 children, they were not supposed to look at each other while they're doing it. They did their own thing without being judged about it, whatever. I never did that, but just a celebration. Well, wow, great, you had fun today, amazing, it's such a great time. And they were waiting already 15 minutes before the lesson was starting outside with their coloring. They had a lot of coloring things, the big boxes, pencil that you had a lot of variety to choose from. They loved it. So then I had that free exercise, and 5 of the 6, now you understand that the 6th one is my son, who had a different thing here. 5 of the kids, they draw like a kind of an onion. That's the shape they saw in their head. My son took 3 pencils and he made the most. It was, and there were some little sign of the eternal sign. There were some things, snails, some swirls, some tools they had learned. So there came a lot of things out, like signs and symbols, but it was one crazy paper. And I was like, this is how my head feels inside with the meditation. I was like, well, and I brought that to the psychiatrist. He didn't even want to look at it. And I think that's also the problem, because we need to have a holistic way of looking at a kid like that. If you only have the medication and that's it, or if you only do this, you need to have, and what I often say to parents too is, you are a therapist. You need to educate yourself, and you need to create it for your kids. And the easy way out is put a medication in it. And it can be helpful. I'm not saying never. No, I don't do that. And it has helped my son for a while too, to overcome, to deal with life, right? But, and I want to be honest about that too, but don't do it so easily. I have a friend here in Florida. She's a social worker, and her daughter was 2, very hyper. There was a lot of stress in the family and a lot of unhealed inherited trauma that they could truly see, and a lot of stories. The father walked away, that's one thing, and he was abusive. Other thing, she was hyper. So there's a correlation with that too. I just want to mention that very briefly. The New York pediatrician wanted to give her Ritalin. She didn't want to. We speak about the brain of a 2-year-old. A 2-year-old. The pediatrician got so fed up. She said, if you don't want to comply, I'm going to report you to family services, child services.
Wow.
And that's why she moved to Florida. And I find that criminal, because it is controlling somebody so far, which is not proven to be helpful, because we do not know too much about the brain. Now we know much more, but we should not think that we know everything and play in a way God and behave like that. And doctors are not God either. You need, as a parent, always to follow your own intuition. If you feel things are not, don't do it. Be against the stream. Don't be afraid. And as a mother of, I can tell you, it's not easy always. My own parents were doubting my ways of raising him because they were very in favor of the punishing and the this and the that. And they would teach him. And my father barely ever gave me a compliment in my life, ever. But it only come, I was already in America for a while. My kids came back. I was here. And they were with my parents for a few days or so. And they were in their teenage years. And he said, Carla, we have often worried what would come from them, specifically this guy. And he said, you did a great job because I'm amazed how they behaved. And I was like, but you know what? That's nice.
Yeah.
I couldn't care less. I
True.
couldn't care less. You know why? I knew that and I wasn't lonely. I was at a certain point the only one that was behind him. Even my husband had a lot of doubts, and totally we disagree. We disagree totally about certain things because he wanted at a certain moment he wanted to hit and all that. It's like, no way, we're not going to hit ever. But that's the way he was raised, unfortunately, right? And that's always the fear. What will happen with this kid if we don't raise him well? And that's the fear for many parents. So you need to get that fear out of the way, listen to your intuition, and take the decisions that you feel like, this feels good. This is what I can do. And that's what I did. And I also lived like, I want to really raise my kids in a way that not when I'm old and look in the mirror like, wow, it's terrible what I did. I ruined 3 lives, And I'm not saying I was perfect. Nobody's ever perfect. But it is, if you listen to your intuition in combination with your head and think, that helps a lot.
Yes. That's just, yes. I mean,
maybe that's a nice closure because we have so much.
Yes.
That's really
so,
yeah, let's continue. Maybe in 2 weeks you can, or two or 3 weeks, whatever fits your schedule. And we can every time take a theme because I think it's so nice to talk about this and so needed.
And like maybe one last thing I would just say is that as parents, like it's really important to not make the worst assumptions for any behavior at all, right? And because like our thoughts fuel our actions, right? So regardless of if it's like, of course, how you would care would vary. Like, how you're saying, like focusing on the specific things to help make it better, like making like soothing sounds and all those things, nature sounds. But it's like at the end of the day, like we should always try to seek why, like ask our kids why, and try and see how we can best work with them. Like to end with like just one example, and this was just last night, where like Moody, my husband, my son, Moody just saw my son and his phone in the toilet, right? And immediately
he's an exemplar.
And immediately he was just like, of course he was upset. It's his phone, right? And there are like important things in there, so he was kind of upset. Like he took his phone, he was like trying to dry it out. He's like, no, I have to keep it safe, right? So yeah, in that moment he did think, felt like he threw it in the toilet. And so of course I try to walk him through. Now when you're feeling upset or when you're feeling everything, and I was already jumping into assumptions on my own, but even though I jumped into the assumption, right, like thankfully I wasn't like aggressive towards him. I was more of trying to teach him in the moment. And he was also sad that the dad took the phone away. And then when all was said and done, I just took a moment to think, like, we really did not know what happened. And I'm like, no, let's tell a story. I'm like, and that's how I usually get what happened. Like events, I'm not there. That's how I get it out of him. And it's like one day, Sui went to pee. So I let him continue and then the phone fell down. And then that's when he clicked. It was a mistake. So we made the assumption that he put it in there, but like just by listening to him, it was a mistake. And in that moment, I'm like, oh, it was a mistake. Okay, baby. When we want to go pee, we put the phone on the sink. Let's go practice. And then he did that. Okay, when I want to pee, I put the phone on. And I'm just like, that made a huge difference in like trying to assume. And like you're saying, we made a mistake. I'm human. We're human. We're mistakes. I think the important thing is being able to reflect, take a step back, and actually now trying to see if you can correct or at least going forward the next time, avoid a mistake like that. So yeah, always trying to not think the worst, as angry as you might be, and trying to listen to the child and then going forward problem solving. So yeah, that was just how I was just going to end today.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. I loved you from the first seconds I saw your first video, and this is so powerful because it is really raising with love and kindness. I have my business name is Heart-Based Solutions. Took me a long time before I could find the right name. So that heart-based, so I had also heart-based mindful parenting, and that heart-based can be a turn off for parents too, because of course I'm heart-based. I love my kids. So people interpret things in a way that you do not always realize, right? But that what you speak there is like so kind, like you step into a situation and you really don't come with an opinion. You're just looking at what's going on over here. How did that happen? How did that go? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the last thing I want to say is we have a right as parents to feel good. We, out of love, we got children most of the time at least. And it's also so important to enjoy the ride and enjoy what we do, and not always to go through that fear, those fear responses, you know? And that's nice because I can say that it works because like he's 26 and I can tell many more examples and many more tips too. So it's funny because you with your question opened the box for me, like, yeah, that's true. There's so many things that I did, but it made it for me parenting so much more interesting too, you know. Of course it's easy if your kids do everything easy, you know, and it's like no, but I want them to be themselves.
Yeah.
And like I just said before, that my son said, Mom, that you gave us the opportunity to make mistakes and to figure it out ourselves. And I was right away thinking, oh, does this mean that he thinks I was like not caring or not caring? You know, I was
Yeah.
checking out. So but I was always watching from a distance, but you don't know, you know, I was always, you know, when things go a bit off, you know. One time he asked to have a sleepover. I think it was 13. I didn't know the family, and I'm in Florida. At least you ask, you know. I'm also trusting, but I didn't know the family. Where my son, he has spoken about a guy many times, and it was a nice friend from his basketball team. He wanted to sleep over. It's like, okay, yeah, okay. And then 8 o'clock, I got a phone call in the morning. Can you please pick me up? So I went over there, and he had seen in that house many guns.
He had seen what?
Many guns.
Oh, I see.
And I was really. And that was a moment that I thought, okay. Because in Holland, you don't have that. You don't, people, if they have a gun, it's in the county, you would never know. So that would happen. And they're visible. And, you know, I'm not having a judgment about whoever has guns. And there are all kinds of reasons, so I can go there. But you don't know how people could, you know, it is just a danger thing.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm very honest with that too. I was like, now, this time I really should be more careful because I'm in a new country.
Yeah.
I don't know this kind of habit that people can have and have it easily around. Now we know the dramas which happens with that. If a kid has easily access to guns, that should not be the case. Yeah. So you see, that's that was what I remember, like, okay, so he called me 8 o'clock, can you please pick me up? Because he realized himself, whoa. So he was drawn to it, and he felt like not safe. Not that nothing would happen. He wouldn't do, his friend wouldn't, but it's like, no, this is not good. I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
So that was a good learning for, okay, you know, next time, you know, and don't be all the time suspicious, but still check how things are.
Yes, nice.
Okay, I think I'm going to cut this video in pieces. So chop it up. Yeah. Thank you so very much, Ngozi. Awesome.
Thank you too, and thank you everyone for joining in.
Yeah, thank you too, guys.
Yeah, I'll link you up the lady that has the child as well. That has.
Sure, they can follow me. They can reach out, of course. I like to help whatever I can. Sure.
All right,
guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right,
Have a beautiful rest of the Sunday. Bye bye.
Bye.
I'm Carla van Welstum, founder of Heart-Based Solutions, where I help you with psychology, neuroscience, and holistic modalities transform your life, career, and relationships. If you're new here, make sure you click the subscribe button and hit the bell to get notified for new videos. Any link that I mentioned in this video, you can find in the description box below.